There is a podcast that lies between the imagination of two simple-minded earthlings. Travel with these two longtime friends, Jimbo and 80s E, as they attempt to explore the fifth dimension. Follow along with them as they take the key and unlock the door to the vast space between shadow and substance. This podcast is one of trivia, of insight, and of sounds and ideas from one of the greatest television shows ever produced. You are embarking on a timeless journey. There is your signpost up ahead. You are entering the tragedy of cinema's Twilight Zone.
An old man and a hound dog named Rip, off for an evening's pleasure in quest of raccoon. Usually these evenings end with one tired old man, one battle-scarred hound dog, and one or more extremely dead raccoons. But as you may suspect, that will not be the case tonight. These hunters won't be coming home from the hill. They're headed for the backwoods of the Twilight Zone.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema, the Twilight Zone series. I'm your host, Jimbo.
And I'm your co-host, 80Z.
80Z, back in the secret lair of Jimbo's on the south side of beautiful city of ours. Eric, how you doing? Been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah. I think we should have saved Midnight Sun episode for this day.
Scorcher out there. It's hottest day of the year.
Yeah, toasted E today, right? Yeah.
Yep. So, well, today we'll be discussing the episode The Hunt, season 3, episode 19. Did you ever hear the saying, that bird don't hunt, or what is the saying? That dog don't hunt?
Yeah. Many times.
Yeah, but explain to the people, what does it mean, Eric?
What does it mean? I don't think I actually even know what it means.
The thing I made up is, you got hound dogs that go out hunting, or the ones that chase the foxes over there on the English things. Like, if you got a dog that wouldn't do his job, you say, that dog don't hunt.
Right.
I mean, it sounds good. Yeah. I don't know if it's the right thing or whatever, but...
Yeah, that'd be an interesting study or investigation to figure out how that saying came to be. But, I mean, I understand the meaning behind it, but I don't know exactly... Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It ain't going to work. It ain't going to work.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line of it. It's funny how we have all these expressions, and we really don't, we just kind of take them for granted and don't really know the real meaning behind it or how it came to be, I guess. But the hunt for us starts in the fifth dimension, the Twilight Zone, season number 3, episode number 19. I'll go ahead and launch on in. This episode was directed by Daryl D. Schuster, and it was written by Earl Hamner Jr. And just by way, this is Earl Hamner's debut as far as a story written by him. He will go on to write, I believe, 8 episodes total in the Twilight Zone. This is the first one of 8. He also wrote the last episode in season 5, the very last episode of the series, entitled The Bewitching Pool. He would actually go on to be the creator and writer for the TV show The Waltons. Jimbo, you a fan of the Waltons?
No.
Good
night, John Boy. Good night, John Boy.
The Waltons is basically his story. His writing of the Waltons reflected a lot of his actual life and upbringing. He grew up in rural Appalachia. So he wrote a lot of stories. And obviously this story, The Hunt, that we see in the Twilight Zone, reflected a lot of his upbringing in life too. And I'll get to some of that in the trivia. There's not a whole lot of trivia for these next couple of episodes. But we'll talk more about how his real life affected his fictional life as he wrote this episode. This episode was written it was aired, not written. Get out of the writing theme there. It was aired on January the 26th, 1962, which leads us to our favorite segment in our episode, the segment we like to call On This Day in History. All right.
Eric forgot his sound effects, so he's at Jimbo's mercy today.
So let's go all the way back to January 26, 1913, and A little known fact, this Olympian, we're just coming off the Olympics, about a couple weeks ago, the 2024 Paris Olympics. Jim Thorpe, famous Olympian, he relinquished his 1912 Olympic medals for playing 2 seasons of professional, semi-professional, not even professional baseball before competing in the Olympics. So that was on January 26, 1913.
Do you have a favorite Olympic sport?
Did he?
No, do you?
Do I?
Breakdancing?
No, that's gone right after that crazy lady from Australia.
The kangaroo ray gun or what?
Yeah, that's a whole.
Did you ever try to breakdance there, Eric? Back when
Sure, back in the 80s,
Everybody
got me a
did,
piece
baby.
of cardboard. I don't
Your
think I was
boombox
very
on your
good
side.
at it, but yeah, I gave it a shot. As far as favorite Olympic sport, oh boy, Summer Olympics, I'm probably going to have to go with, I don't know, the swimming is usually pretty exciting, and probably track and field. That's where I would
javelin
land.
throw and
I mean, obviously since the Dream Team in '92, which I think that's in that might be in one of my trivia later on. But basketball, when they brought the pro athletes in '92,
it said we're never losing again.
yeah,
Basically,
that was exciting. But yeah, track and field, it's which Jim Thorpe was a part of, wasn't he? He was a all-time record setter in a lot of track and field events.
But do you like the winter ones better than the summer? I do. The winter is my favorite.
Really?
Yeah,
No, I probably
love-
would prefer summer.
I love the bobsled and the luge
Those
and the
people
giant slalom. You know,
The Suicide
Awesome.
Squad,
speed
man.
skating.
Those guys at the luge and all of the bobsledding.
I mean, you could
just crazy.
We could do a tragedy of cinema bobsled for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Kyle.
We would
And our
crash,
toast me and the guy on the back pushing.
crash in the first turn. All right, let's move
Jimbo
ahead.
driving.
Move ahead to 1926. John Logie Baird gives the first public demonstration of television in his laboratory in London. So that was 1926. John Logie, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, Logie Baird. So TV's first demonstration in a lab, all the way back to 1926. January 26, 1954, we have groundbreaking at Disneyland. So that's interesting. And I've never heard of this guy, but on January 26, 1960, it says high school basketball sensation Danny Heater scored 135 points in a basketball game. He definitely was heating up. He
For
was
like
a heater.
college, high school?
I don't know who this guy is. And I'm an avid fan of basketball, obviously, and I've never heard of this guy. I don't know what state he was from. I should have dug a little deeper to find out what state and what
You want
high
me to look
school.
him up real quick? See if I can find
Sure,
out for you?
go right ahead. Danny Heater, 135 points. Cheryl Miller, didn't she score she
Didn't
was
Will
like over
Chamberlain score
100
100?
in high school? Or maybe it was college. Anyway, let's proceed on to January 26, 1979. The Dukes of Hazzard premieres on U.S. TV, network television, CBS. Dukes of Hazzard.
Love
Obviously,
it. I
fans
just
of
met,
the Dukes of Hazzard here.
Just met what's his head? Schneider.
John Schneider.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. January 26, 1980, 175,000 people paid to hear Frank Sinatra sing in Rio de Janeiro.
All right, Eric, here you go. The night Danny Heater scored 135 points in a high school basketball game. So on January 26, 1960, almost 30 years prior to when the three-point line was introduced into high school basketball, Heater scored 134 points in a 173-43 Burnsville High victory over Wyden. He obliterated the West Virginia state record of 74 points of his way to posting a high school mark that still stands. Along the way, he also set yet to be broken pinnacles for points scored in a quarter, 46, field goals attempted 70, field goals made 53, free throws attempted 41, and free throws made 29. He also pulled down 32 boards and, for good measure, dished out 7 assists to teammates like Charlie Smith. The Bruins' second leading scorer was 16.
Sounds like he had a good night.
I mean,
So if that was 1960, he would have been after Jerry West, because Jerry West was from West Virginia, and he was I think he was in the NBA by the 60s, or at least in college. So I wonder if he broke Jerry West's record. That'd be interesting to look up too. Danny Heater is the glorious, beautiful state of West Virginia. 135 points with no three-point line. That's pretty amazing.
That's a crazy thing.
All right, moving along to January 26, 1988, we have Andrew Lloyd Webber and Charles Hart's musical Phantom of the Opera, directed by Hal Prince and starring Michael Crawford and Sarah Brightman.
Yep.
It opens at the Majestic Theater in New York City, and it runs for 13,981 performances,
You like the Phantom of the Opera?
winning 7 Tony Awards and becoming Broadway's longest-running shows. I watched the movie.
My daughter will be so mad at you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The movie.
I'm sorry, Caitlin.
No, but did you ever go watch the Broadway stage play of it?
No.
3 times, dude.
You did?
Excellent.
Where at? Downtown
Yep.
Indy? Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm sure it is. Obviously, it wouldn't win all those awards if it wasn't something interesting and entertaining to watch. Yeah,
Making
a lot of money. And sadly, January 26, 2020, LA Lakers basketball legend Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter crash in foggy conditions in the hills above Calabasas, Southern California. Considered to be one of the greatest players in history. So a lot of basketball trivia for some reason in this. One birthday, famous American astronaut, January 26, 1930, marked the birth of fighter pilot Buzz Aldrin, who was on Gemini 12 and Apollo 11. He was born in Montclair, New Jersey. So, back to our Twilight Zone episode at hand, entitled The Hunt. Let's go on and I'll give you a little plot. I'll give you some money, details, and we'll launch right in and we can get Jimbo's thoughts and feelings on what he thinks about this episode. So the production cost for this episode came in at $56,524.43. There were 2 dates of rehearsal and 3 dates of filming. The 2 dates of rehearsal were July 3rd and July 5th of 1961. Dates of filming were July 6th, 7th, and the 10th of 1961. So just by way of how this was kind of shot, Honeycutt, Nolan, and Falk went in for wardrobe fitting on the morning of July 3rd, 1961 before rehearsing. The rest of the cast went in for wardrobe fitting on July 5th, obviously with the holiday July 4th being in between. This included Dexter DuPont, Titus Mode, and Charles Steele and Orville Sherman. The entire episode was filmed on Lot 3 at MGM, except for the third and last day's filming at Stage 3 at Hal Roach Studios, where the scenes involving the Gateway to Heaven were filmed. On July 14th, on Stage 5, Serling's narration and the teaser for the episode were filmed, along with the intro and teasers for The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank and The Arrival. So that was kind of done purposely, I think, where Rod would come in and he would knock out a couple of introductions and teasers, and then he would do multiple episodes, like while he was, in surroundings. On location, and there were the surroundings would
probably
make
cheaper.
sense. Yeah. So everything was shot on one lot, and it was done in 3 days. And Jimbo, tell us about the cast of this episode, and then I'll go on with the plot.
All right, our main good guy, you have Arthur Honeycutt. He's playing Hyder Simpson. He was in El Dorado. I believe that's a John Wayne movie, 1966. Yeah, Jeanette Nolan played Rachel Simpson. Eric, she's in one of my favorite Disney cartoons of all time, The Fox and the Hound, where she was the widowed Tweed, where she sung and performed Goodbye May Seem Forever. And also she was in The Rescue, where she was the voice of Ellie Mae. Little voice actress there, yeah. Did you like The Fox and the Hound?
Yeah, I did.
It's a great movie. You had Robert Falk. He was the gatekeeper. He was in Rebel Without a Cause, where he played Gene. And he was also in The Maltese Falcon in 1941.
Just watched that.
Good?
Yeah, the Humphrey Bogart movie?
Yeah,
or
we're
is
going
this
to
a
cover it
different
soon. Yeah.
Yep.
You had Dexter DuPont. He played the Angel. The only thing really he's been in is The Twilight Zone. Orville Sherman. He played Tillman Miller. He was in the movie Westworld in 1973. You had Charles Steele. He played Reverend Wood. He was also in Westworld in 1973. You had Titus Mode. Played Wesley Miller. He was in Rat, Fink, and Boo Boo in 1966.
Interesting title.
Right. And of course, you had Rod Serling, the narrator and the host of The Twilight Zone. I was trying to find the dog's name. I can't find it.
That was in my questions and observations.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, like, we know his name is Rip. In the episode, what was his real name?
Right. I mean, Toto got all that fame. Why can't we find out about this dog?
Yeah, I looked too, and I couldn't find anything myself.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to dig a little deeper into the fifth dimension, see what I can find.
Yeah. All right, a plot for this episode. Hyder Simpson and his wife, Rachel, have been married 50 years. They are simple country folk who live in a small cabin in the mountains. One evening after dinner, Hyder and his dog were off to go raccoon hunting when the dog jumps into a fast-moving stream. I don't know who wrote this. It wasn't a stream, it was a pond. I apologize. Hyder jumps in to rescue him. He wakes up the next morning having apparently spent the night in the woods. When he gets home, however, he and his dog are invisible to everyone around them. Rachel is dressed in black, and it's apparent that Hyder, has died. Thus begins Hyder's journey, one that presents him with many choices.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we're going to launch off into our episode here. As far as Act 1 goes, we open on the small country cabin, which I think in my notes, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think this was a cabin that they used in the beginning shots of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, yeah?
Before they moved to Beverly and they packed up. This was the log cabin that they used. I think it's been used in other things as well. But so we meet our characters. Hyder Simpson, he's an elderly mountain man who lives with his wife Rachel and his coon dog Rip in the backwoods.
The way he talks to her, I didn't think they were married. I thought it was just like an old lady, like they've been friends for years. I mean, just have you noticed that the way he talks to her?
Old man and old woman.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have food ready today. Why do I feed you? It just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah. So, pardon me. So Rachel doesn't like having the dog indoors, but Rip, he saved Hyder's life once, and Hyder, he refuses to part with him, right? So Rachel's seen some bad omens. She saw like a bird in the house. And what was the other omen she saw? Red in the sky, maybe, or something. She sees some bad omens. And she doesn't want Hyder to go on this coon hunt. She's got bad instincts and bad feelings about it. But first of all, she doesn't want Rip in the house. But Rip saved Hyder's life, so he's like, he's coming in. Like, I forget how he phrases it in his country banter, but he's like, he said something like, "This dog don't have fleas," or something like that. I can't remember. I may be misquoting the line, but she's persuaded. Rachel is persuaded to let him in the house. And it's interesting you bring up old man and old woman, Jimbo, because that was how Ma and Paul Walton, and you would know this if you watched the show, they referred to each other on the TV show The Waltons, which was also created by, as we talked about earlier, by Earl Hamner. So they called each other old man, old woman. And thusly, so do Hyder and Rachel. Rachel says she doesn't feel good about the hunt. Oh, it was a blood moon. That's what it was. A blood moon and a bird in their bedroom, like a crow or something. And then once we come to like the end of this opening scene, well, they sit down and Rachel prepares dinner. And that's when the idea of the coon hunt and everything comes about. And then after that scene, I think we get a Rip camera to Rod's
I like when Arthur's like, "Well, I've been thinking about giving you a kiss for the past month or two." Yeah. That's what made me think, what's going on?
Yeah. So we go to Rod's introduction, and he's actually sitting on like a stump. Oh, that's after they leave to go on the coon hunt. So we get Rod's introduction. And then like always, I'll place that in the episode at the beginning. So then after Rod, we go to our standard commercial, and we come back, and then we're on the hunt when we come back from commercial.
I kind of wish they'd have the original commercials in there just to see what would be kind of fun.
We got the moving shot of the title shot and all the credits, and then it's just Hyder and Rip walking down the trail. And then what happens soon after is that Rip spots a coon, and the coon takes off and runs up a tree. Yeah. And then, Rip chases him into the tree, and Hyder's, running after them both. Then the coon, I think Hyder says something like, "Oh, he tricked you, boy," or something like that. And then the coon runs out of the tree and runs into a pond. And Rip, he's running full force after the raccoon. Raccoon jumps into a pond, and Rip jumps in after him.
I wonder how they trained that to do that.
I don't know.
It's really good by the raccoon and the dog.
Yeah, I wonder how they cut that too. Like the shots, like how they cut it and spliced it together. Okay, because you're right. So, Rip, he's jumped in. So Hyder's like, oh, man, I got to go in after you. Why, he warns Rip, don't jump in after that raccoon. But he does anyway. And so Hyder, he starts peeling off his jacket and, taking his boots off, and he jumps in after Rip. And the only one who emerges from the pond is the raccoon.
I know, he
shakes
just looks
off the
back
water
and just walks away.
Starts walking away.
Like, well.
And then
you have that changing of the
like a scene change. Yeah, exactly. We have a scene change, and then it's the next morning. You can definitely tell it's light. It is a little harder to tell in black and white, but you can tell it's daytime out. The light is much stronger there because obviously you go coon hunting at night. Like my grandpa told me that stories about that like years ago. You would take like a lantern. And a coon in southern Indiana, you take a lantern, his dog, and then they hide in the trees, and then you gotta like flush them out. And anyway, so it's the next morning after their hunt, and Hyder and Rip, they wake up next to the pond. When they return home, on their way to returning home, they run into a couple of guys. What are their names? Are they in the? There's something boys. He calls them something.
No, I don't have
Miller boys. Maybe I think is their last name.
We had Titus. Titus Mode was Wesley Miller, but Tillman Miller and Wesley Miller.
He calls them the Miller boys. They're digging a grave, and they got a small wooden box. And we come later to find out that that's Rip in the box, and that.
Well, they say it's a dog.
Yeah, they say it's a dog.
But they're ignoring Honeycutt. Like, they won't answer any questions. Like, don't you guys have any manners or whatever,
Yeah, he tries to talk to him here while they're digging this hole. And he thinks, Hyder thinks they're ignoring him, but he doesn't realize his fate, which will come to well, we learned that pretty early in the episode, probably midway through the episode, that he's deceased. That's a common thing, a tactic that's used in episodes of the Twilight Zone when someone's dead. Mirror image, or what was the episode where the girl was dead and she was driving all around?
The Hitchhiker.
Hitchhiker, thank you. Got a better memory than I do. And she didn't know she was dead the whole time, and she was encountering people along the way. A similar type of thing used here. So, as they travel home, Rip and Hyder, they come upon the log cabin, and he's like, come on, Rip, if we sneak in real quiet, maybe she won't know, that we've been out all night, and she'll cook us breakfast or whatever. But he finds Rachel and the preacher and the neighbors, and they can't hear or see him, but they are tending to the burial of both
Rachel does a really good job in this scene, just sitting completely still, just staring off into space.
Right. The preacher, bad. I didn't think he was not very good, but yeah, Rachel did a good job in her acting. And then Rip Hyder sort of gets indignant. It's like, if somebody's going to be buried, you're going to have to talk to me first or something like that, right? Like, he doesn't realize that.
She says, thanks for coming, even though he didn't belong to the church or whatever, They
were still going to give him a Christian burial.
Yeah.
And he's like, all this talking about being buried, don't you think you ought to talk to the person being buried or something like that? I don't have the quote here. And so after that scene, they sort of, everybody sort of walks out of the cabin, right? And they come and take the casket, the wood box, out of the bedroom. That's the Smith brothers.
Now I have a question. Hyder and Rip have been asleep all night at the pond.
How did they end up in the cabin?
There? And how long were they out?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then we go to commercial after he's ushered out of the cabin in the pine box, and we go to Act 3. and we see Hyder and Rip. They're walking along the road, and they encounter an unfamiliar fence. And I think it's on his property or something. He mentioned something like that. And they come to a gate.
He says, "I've never seen that fence here before."
Yeah, they come to a gate that's tended by a man who explains that Hyder, he can enter the Elysian fields of the afterlife, and told that Rip cannot enter. Hyder's told that Rip can't enter, and he will be taken to a special afterlife for dogs. And Hyder angrily declines the offer of the entry of the gate and decides to keep walking along Eternity Road. And he says, any place that's too highfalutin for Rip is too fancy for me. And I thought, this is a subtle catch that I caught from the gatekeeper. Hyder says, then I take your name to be St. Peter. And the gatekeeper says, I keep the gate. That's a fact. He never affirms that he's St. Peter. I thought that was a good, as far as the dialogue goes, that was a good slip in. That he doesn't confirm that he's St. Peter that, watches over the gate of heaven, if you will. So I thought that was really good in there. It's just a really small catch, but, it goes along with the themes of other episodes that we've talked about, like the devil and the him being the father of lies, as we looked at, and the Howling Man, and other things like that.
One thing I kind of wish is, I wish they would have kept the same actor every time they portrayed him in an episode.
Oh, that would have been a good running theme.
What was the one where the guy went up there and he could have everything he wanted?
What you need?
And he's like, I think so. And he's like, this is heaven. He says, what made you think you were in heaven? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what it was.
That's the actor that plays Rance McGrew. In the next episode, he played the actor in that episode, but I can't think of the episode. I can't think of the title.
Yeah, so I thought that would have been really cool, though.
I know what you're talking about, though. So later, Hyder and Rip, they stopped to rest, and they were met by a young man who introduces himself as an angel, and this angel is dispatched to find them and take them to heaven. And when Hyder recounts his previous encounter, the angel tells him that the gate that they just were previously at is the entrance to hell, actually. And the gatekeeper had stopped Rip from entering because Rip would have smelled the brimstone inside and warned Hyder that something was wrong. And the angel says, and the quote here says, you see, Mr. Simpson, a man, well, he'll walk right into hell with both eyes open, but even the devil can't fool a dog. Mm-hmm. And so as the angel leads Hyder along Eternity Road toward heaven, he tells Hyder that a square dance and a raccoon hunt are scheduled for the night. He also assures Hyder that Rachel will soon be coming along the road and will not be misled into entering hell. So again, the road theme, if we go all the way back to what was the episode of the Abe Lincoln episode, that's another theme that they reused in this episode, the road to heaven. So I thought that was an interesting episode. That's pretty much how we end the episode, is the angel and Hyder are conversing, and then they come to that conclusion, and they walk off, obviously, into the heavens. And
Rip gets to go with him.
And he gets to go with him, yeah. I didn't know this. I didn't have this written down in my notes. But I think James Dean played the angel part in a radio adaptation for this episode. And I actually, on another podcast I listened to, I heard some of the audio. It's interesting. A young James Dean played it very different than this guy in the episode. I'm sorry, I don't have his name in front of me, the actual actor's name. But it was really interesting.
This guy,
that radio adaptation.
That's Dexter DuPont.
Dexter DuPont is the actor's name in this. I thought he did a great job too. But it was just interesting to get a different take by the one and only James Dean. But I think it probably would be on YouTube if anybody wanted to look it up. But just look for that radio version on YouTube would be where I would start. Any closing remarks as we close up the episode and move on to trivia?
No, I mean, I think it's very interesting that gatekeeper, he's very persuasive.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's throwing everything at him, but you can't take your dog.
Yeah,
and he's like, well, that ain't just gonna work for me,
Yeah. Yeah, that was a well acted segment too, and especially like you pointed out how persuasive the gatekeeper was in trying to, lure him in.
We know if this was you walking down there with little Ralphie, your cat, you ain't going in with that either. So.
Yeah. So trivia, we'll go ahead and launch into that. The dog, he is a blue tick coonhound. And his name is Rip, but we don't know his real name. We'll have to maybe add that on later.
Maybe his name is Rip.
Maybe it is.
Maybe he really drowned in the episode, too. Who knows?
Hyder says that he's just over 70 years old. However, Arthur Honeycutt was only 51 at the time this was filmed. And Jeanette Nolan was only 50. And as I mentioned earlier, the cabin in the show is the same one that is used in the Beverly Hillbillies. That's a television show from 1962. And then the name Rip obviously is an allusion to Rest in Peace. The writer of this episode, Earl Hamner Jr., would go on to create the long-running drama The Waltons. We talked about that previously. The way Hyder and Rachel address each other, that also we spoke about. This was a precursor to the cantankerous banter between Grandma and Grandma Walton, which I'm not familiar with the Waltons that well either, but apparently that's sort of their modus operandi in the Waltons and their banter back and forth, calling each other old man and woman. This is Earl Hamner speaking. He said, I grew up in the Depression. My family was what you considered back folk of Virginia. My father would go hunting for pheasant and quail, and he had a hunting dog that he loved. One night the dog ran away, and my father spent all night searching for him. It was part of the family, so when he found the dog the next morning, the animal was dead, and my father was grieved. The hunt was my first script for the Twilight Zone, and it probably was my favorite. Not because it was my first, but because it was a part of my family, and that influenced me. The material influenced me so much that I used it to write the script. So it's interesting to know the roots of where that story came from out of his own life. That's all I have is trivia. Parts trivia. You got any trivia for me over there? Nothing?
No, there's like you said, these next couple of episodes, there's not much out there, and I knew you would probably have it all written down what I was going to say anyway. So
yep. Okay, so moving on to questions and observations. You got any questions, observations?
Well, just the one about how long have they been dead? If they had to find the bodies first, then they had to go prep them, then they had to get the coffins made, then they had to dig the holes.
Right.
So I don't know how much time passed. It had to be at least a day, probably a couple hours to get all that made. That was the only downfall of this movie or TV show that I witnessed. It flowed pretty well.
Is this Hillbilly Heaven?
Hillbilly Heaven.
That's my question.
No, that's Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Yeah, we already talked about the dog stage name and what his real name. Just by way of observations for me is I think the story is decent moral, like the loyalty moral, right? He wasn't going to leave Rip, but the premise of risking one's life to save his drowning dog that somehow merits admittance into heaven was kind of silly to me. So we've had a lot of episodes that touch on the theme of heaven and hell and more theological, lightly touching on theological issues and thoughts. But yeah, I thought it was an okay story. I thought it was kind of silly. And then the last question that I thought of: will there be animals in heaven? Right. That leaves us probably with that question. And I think theologically, yes. The answer is yes. At least in what Christians believe the millennial kingdom, because I'll cite Isaiah 11. It talks about the lion laying down with the lamb, right, and children playing with vipers. I think is that passage. It talks about that. Specifically heaven, I don't know specifically, but in the millennial kingdom, which Christians believe will happen here on earth for the 1,000-year reign here on earth, there's definite evidence that there will be animals in heaven, but I hope so.
It better be a pterodactyl or a velociraptor is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I hope so, but yeah.
Loch Ness Monster's going to roll up on you. See, I was real the whole time.
Yeah. All kinds of Yetis and all kinds of stuff. As far as rating goes, This, I think IMDb rated this a 7.5. I'd probably give it like a 7. It's an okay episode. And knowing the background of why Hamner wrote it and, how he was taking that out of his own life and the story about his dad and the hunting dog that died, yeah, I give it a 7 probably. What are you going with?
A few thoughts before we give my rating.
Yep.
I really, really like Arthur Honeycutt's portrayal of Hyder Simpson. He made you genuinely feel like he was a hillbilly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he acted phenomenal in this. So he gets a 10 for me for that. The old lady, her acting was top notch too. The two little goofballs digging the hole, they could take it either here or there. The gatekeeper, phenomenal. The angel, good. Story was okay. For me, I'd probably give it a 7.5. I think Rip did good. I like how they did the stunt with the raccoons. I mean, I didn't see a thing at the end that says no animals were harmed during the filming of this, so it may have been more than one raccoon and more than one dog. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so well done. It's more of a serious... It's easier to follow this story than it is some of the Twilight Zones, and that's why I like it, because it's coherent. It follows the progression. The only thing I had an issue with was the timing of the bodies found.
Mm-hmm.
Was he just unconscious for that long? I don't know. But yeah, 7.5 for me.
All right. Well,
before we go, Eric,
yeah,
I hear you have a joke for us for today.
Oh, you want me to do this one now?
Let's give me a joke.
All right, the new segment in the episode called The Joke of the Day, everybody. I think we should just cut this out completely.
Yeah, well, you're the editors.
All right. Closing thoughts?
Yeah, don't let Eric do a joke of the day anymore.
Fine.
That being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut.
Travelers to unknown regions would be well advised to take along the family dog. He could just save you from entering the wrong gate. At least it happened that way once, in a mountainous area of the Twilight Zone.